Hi, I'm Liz Warrior. Today I'm going to take you through using the old soul vs new gen effect template in Effect Maker to create a fun interactive experience that it can easily change to personalize your effect. The old soul template is a simple cited base ranking template that lets users choose their favorite of 2 items in 5 rows. The potential here is huge. You aren't just limited to the difference between generation, but it could be about food, drink, animals, or movies. To get started, open up Effect Maker on your computer. Head over to the template fashion and select Old vs New Gen Template. Let's look at how the template is structured. In the Objects panel, we have the title card, which is the custom graphic for your effect. Then, you'll see the category titles. By default, these are New Gen and Old Soul. For their adaptation, there are 5 rows, line 1 through 5, each featuring a slider icon, heart 1 through 5. And icons for ranking like CD versus headphones. In the Asset panel, you'll find the slider part, which includes the line graphic and the button state, along with the icons used for each browse. The logic is handled in the visual script, which enables the slider when you start dragging and ensure the button moves smoothly along the line to track your selection. You will see the drag trigger node, which means that every time you drag the heart, the visibility of the heart selected asset will turn on. The vector is being split into subgraphs for the x bounds of the heart and for each slider 1 through 5. Only the x vector is being used in the x bounds subgraph. To see what's inside the subgraph, simply double-click on it. In it, we see that the heart asset can only move along the x-axis and is restricted to the range of minus beam 202 to 202. Otherwise, it won't work correctly. You can change these numbers if you want to adjust where the asset is allowed to go. For example, if I put 600, as you can see, the heart slides all the way through the screen, through outside the line. Now let's see what is happening inside one of the slider subgraphs. Slider 1 through 5 are all identical. The only thing that changes is the heart asset being used. For example, slider 1 uses heart 1, slider 3 uses heart 3. You can see the input node sending the user's position into a calculation that finds the top and bottom edge of the heart. We need this calculation because the computer doesn't naturally know how big the heart is. It only knows its center point. Without this map, the selection will only trigger if your finger touches the exact microscopic center coordinate in the heart, which would feel broken to a user. By taking the height of heart 1, divided by 2 and adding or subtracting that from the X position, the script creates a hit zone. When the user's input falls between these 2 numbers, the node sends a signal to the if condition to turn the selection on. Once that condition is met, the execution flow triggers the set position and the set visibility node. This ensures that the heart-selected asset snaps exactly to the heart's coordinates and becomes visible. Just like the x-axis bounds in your other subgraphs, this setup ensures the interaction only happens within the specific area you've defined for the heart asset. Next, let's give the effect a unique look. To change the items being ranked, click on the asset you want to replace. Go to the Properties panel and select Replace Asset. For this example, I'll replace the mail icon with a camera asset, created using Nano Banana on Gemini. Don't forget to rename your asset to keep things organized. It works the same way if you would like to replace anything else, such as the background title, slider lines, or icons, by uploading your own asset. You can also replace the heart slider or the line itself in the Objects panel to perfectly match your new theme. If 5 rows or too many are not enough for your effect, we can easily adjust them. To remove a slider, the quickest method is to simply set the line, heart, and associate item to non-visible in the Object panel. However, for a cleaner project, you should delete those objects from the Object panel and then remove their corresponding logic from the visual script. Specifically, locate and delete the corresponding subgraph. To add a new row, for instance, I'll use the row I just deleted as an example. Follow these steps. Duplicate the existing heart, line, and items. Rename them. Replace the asset in the Asset field in the Properties panel. Position the duplicated object along the y-axis however you like. ensuring they remain aligned on the same y-axis. In the visual script, copy a slider subgraph. Ungroup the subgraph and update all object references to the new heart. For example, here, heart 5. These outputs connect to less than or equal to and greater than or equal to comparison node, which check with split vector y input. By feeding both comparison into an end node, you create a combined condition for the if node. When this is met, it triggers a sequence to snap the heart-selected object into place. This involves the set x position driven by heart 5's split vector x, the set position node mapped to heart 5's current coordinates, and the set visible node. Select all and right-click to group the subgraph. Rename the subgraph to Slider 5. To elevate your effect beyond a basic slider, try adding a unique twist. For instance, you could rotate the sliders to be vertical instead of horizontal for a fresh layout. To switch your slider to a vertical layout, I remove 2 sliders. Then I adjust the physical position of the objects in the scene panel. In your main visual script, swap the X and Y connections by dragging the split vector Y output into the Y bounds, which I just renamed from X bounds, and remapping your subgraph connections accordingly. The Y to the X and the X to the Y. Inside the Y bounds subgraph, we are going to constrain the heart so it doesn't pass above the line. To achieve this, I've set the coordinates to 140 and minus 180 for either side of the line. As you can see, the heart now stays within the boundaries. Inside each slider subgraph, simply swap the heart's position nodes. Change get Y position to get X position, and set X position to set Y position. Repeating these swaps for every subgraph will successfully reorient your slider's logic to match the vertical movement. You could also consider adding a final result text object that updates based on the slider's position. By using visual scripting to calculate the average of the user's choice, you can reveal a personalized message showing your results. To set up your final score, create a text object named Final Score, and the text content in the Properties panel to 0. In the visual script, connect a Frame Update node and a Set Properties node to set text which is linked to the final score. To calculate the average position by adding the Get Y position, or X if you have a horizontal layout of your 3-heart object. Connect the 3 nodes to an Add node and divide the total by 3. Use a remap node to convert these coordinates. Setting your specific vertical boundaries. Here it would be minus 180 to 140 as the input minimum, maximum. and 0 to 100 as the output minimum maximum to get a percentage. Finally, use a number to text node to plug this value into your set text node. Reposition the final score towards the top of the screen. To customize the effect, let's rename the categories. In the object panel, find the text object titled UGen and also. You can replace these with any two categories you like. For example, you could compare sweet and salty or summer vs winter. Simply select the text object and update the text content in the Properties panel. For this example, we'll use Throwback vs modern. To finalize the interface, position the modern text at the bottom. This mirrors the icon placement and flows better with the vertical format. Create a new text object that reads, "Your vibe percentage is throwback." You can change the color, size, and font. Place the text at the top. To personalize your title card, you'll first need a new one. I made mine using Nano Banana on Gemini. Once you have your new card ready, go over to the Asset panel and click on Title. From there, look at the Properties panel, hit Replace Asset, and import your new design. To ensure a clean transition, set the title card to disappear when recording. Start by making the final score and final text to non-visible in the Object panel. In the visual script, add a record node and a set property node for the title card.